Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexis Rogers. Tomorrow, early in-person voting begins in Minnesota for the presidential primary election. In anticipation, Secretary of State Steve Simons spoke today, among other election officials, saying the biggest challenge facing the state's election is disinformation about the election process.
But if we can't agree on the fundamentals of what it is, how it actually operates day to day, what the rules really are, then we're in trouble. And that's what we have to guard against, because it's a danger.
When voting, each party, DFL, Republican, legal marijuana, now will have a separate ballot. The Secretary of State says a voter must request the ballot of the party of their choice. Your choice is private, but it is available to the chair of each major political party. Security at the polls is expected to be very similar to a general election. In less than a week, we will have another look at where voters stand as New Hampshire heads to the polls. It includes our first look into the Democratic primary. Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips is one of the candidates campaigning in the Granite State. He's challenging President Joe Biden. An American Research Group poll asked New Hampshire voters their presidential preference in the primary. In that survey, Phillips has 28% support. Now that's up 10% from just last month.
President Biden is a good man, a man I respect, but he's going to lose to Donald Trump. And if it's Nikki Haley, it's going to be a wipeout. And that's why Democrats should be fostering a competition, not a coronation. And I'm so excited for the Granite Staters here on January 23rd to demonstrate that.
President Biden's preference percentage has been at 58% all of January. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and former President Donald Trump are tied at 40% among Republican voters. As we continue our 2024 election coverage, Chief Political Reporter John Croman will be heading to New Hampshire in the coming days. Look for live coverage next Tuesday on the GOP fight, as well as Phillips' challenge to President Biden. We're taking a live look at the nation's capital, where lawmakers are less than 2 days away to agree on a new funding bill before a potential shutdown. If a shutdown does happen, some of the departments impacted would include military construction, veterans, transportations, and the Energy Department. Senate leaders say they will likely be able to pass a bill today, but House Republicans want to address immigration first. Well, turning now to our weather. We're back in the single digits today, but Ben, it won't be long until we see some relief.
Yeah, a little bit. By the time we get into early next week, we're talking Monday and Tuesday, this little cold snap that we've been experiencing lately should be a distant memory as temperatures warm back up above the freezing mark. How about that? Now, we are tracking a little light snowfall at this hour, mainly south and west of the Twin Cities. You got to get to Le Sueur, down towards Mankato. Mainly southwestern Minnesota is getting the brunt of this system, at least in our state. And you can see deeper blues down towards Sioux Falls and entering Omaha, Nebraska. That's where a few inches are expected. We are once again going to get grazed by this snowy system, at least here in the metro. So a few flurries for us. That's going to be about it. But the further south you go, the better your chances at seeing some slippery road conditions. We have seen our sunshine fade all morning long. Right now we are at 7 above, and it should be a mostly cloudy afternoon. Feels like it's 6 degrees below zero. We have single-digit below zero wind chill values expected all day today, including tomorrow. We'll talk more about that big warming trend headed our way coming up. But first, let's toss it inside to Cece for a look at the roads.
Hey, thanks, Ben. All right, so nicer weather means nicer roads. If you take a look here this afternoon, I'm seeing all green across the metro. I'm not seeing any crashes or stalled vehicles that could slow you down. So I'll just give you kind of a look around and see how everything's moving. We'll start out west. Here's Highway 212. We're going near Eden Prairie at this point. Roads looking good. A lot of people driving at a great speed, not going too fast, so that's great. We can zoom over now into the East Metro. We'll be looking near Woodbury. This is 494 westbound at Carver Avenue. Traffic moving along great. I didn't forget about the North and South Metro. I'll have that and drive times coming up in a few minutes. Alexis.
Cece, thank you. Just hours ago, the family of Tujir Zhang announced plans for his funeral. It's scheduled to begin Saturday, the 27th, at Legacy Funeral Home in St. Paul. Zhang, among community activists, was kidnapped and killed while vacationing in South America last month. The University of Minnesota is under investigation after the U.S. Department of Education got a complaint about anti-Semitism at the school. Last month, a professor and former member of the university's Board of Regents raised concerns about the university's decision to allow faculty members to post pro-Palestinian statements on an official school website. The U says it's cooperating. It says it stands firmly in support of speech and actions that provide an atmosphere of mutual respect. In less than 4 hours, a new affordable housing apartment building will officially open in Minneapolis. It's part of a renovation project of the historic Calvary Lutheran Church in George Floyd Square. The Belfry Apartments opened today with 41 units for extremely low-income families. The company that broadcasts 4 Minnesota pro teams has struck a deal with Amazon. Here's a breakdown of the proposed plan.
I'm Gordon Severson. Amazon is getting involved in Minnesota sports. The company has purchased a minority stake in Diamond Sports Group, the company that runs Bally Sports North and broadcasts the Twins, Wild, Timberwolves, and Lynx. In return, Amazon has the right to distribute Diamond Sports streaming channels through Amazon Prime. But right now, it's unclear if any of our local teams will stay with Diamond Sports moving forward. A spokesperson for the Twins says their contract expired after last season. The Timberwolves, Wild, and Lynx all have contracts in place through this season.
Meanwhile, a new push is underway to legalize sports betting here in Minnesota. State Senator Jeremy Miller announced what he's calling the Sports Betting 2.0 Act. He says it builds on previous efforts to get it legalized and incorporates feedback lawmakers received last year. It includes licensing opportunities for Minnesota's tribal nations, a 15% tax rate on sports betting revenue, and restoring controversial gaming options like free plays and bonus games on electronic pull tabs. Right now, Minnesota is the only state in the region where sports betting is illegal.